I know it's been said several times tonight, but thank you again, all of you, for your consideration of everyone who's spoken tonight and for your thoughtfulness and just your patience listening to everyone who's here to speak. It really means a lot. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you very much for your time today. My name is Hannah Stern, and I'm a constituent living in Providence, Rhode Island. I'm here today to voice my wholehearted support for H 7340, or the 2018 Reproductive Health Care Act. Before I moved to Rhode Island, I was living in a state that is famously and fiercely anti-choice and anti-women's health. The deliberate lack of protective legislation and the fear that my ability to care for my reproductive health might be stripped away was a daily and constant anxiety for me. In a state that was over 83,000 square miles, the 3 abortion clinics in the state were grouped within 2 hours of one another. As you can imagine, this made these services extraordinarily difficult for women outside of this radius to access. When my partner and I were initially planning our move to this state, we specifically checked to make sure that we were within a reasonable distance of one of these clinics. Despite taking multiple precautions to avoid the situation of an abortion, we still needed the security of knowing that we simply had access to this necessary and crucial healthcare service in our daily lives. We, and I, needed to ensure this access because the ability to have an abortion protects my economic mobility, the health of my body, the determination and clarity that I have toward my future and my goals. This is what we're all here fighting to protect in Rhode Island today, and yesterday. I'm not hyperbolizing when I say that the mere knowledge that I have the ability to have an abortion has allowed me to fearlessly and confidently plan for and invest in my future. Especially given the tenuous financial situation of my generation, it is imperative to my life and to the lives of millions of women my age that I, and we, have comprehensive family planning and health services. And this is a necessity that continues beyond my life this year or even next. I'm 24 years old. If Roe v. Wade is overturned even in the next 5 years, I could have at least, if not more, 15 reproductive years in which my body is not adequately protected or afforded the health care it needs. If you do not feel the urgency of this proactive legislation, rest assured that hundreds of thousands of women across this country, and importantly across Rhode Island, do. We feel this urgency every single time a Supreme Court justice is mentioned in a news piece with the fear that one of them may have vacated a seat. We feel the sense of urgency every time a state like Mississippi passes a law further restricting the amount of time a woman has in her pregnancy to have an abortion. And we feel this sense of urgency because we know these legislative moves are deliberate steps toward a Supreme Court case in the hopes of overturning crucial and life-saving judicial decisions. Because of this, we cannot rely on the precedent of Roe v. Wade any further. The constant and vehement attacks on women's health have proven that a precedence of safety and health is no longer an inherent guarantee. Now, in this legislative session of 2018, it is the time to show that the rights, health, and autonomy of women is non-negotiable in the state of Rhode Island. I would also like to reflect once more on my time living in a state that was anti-choice and anti-women's health. The legislation that this state would introduce that deliberately and intentionally targeted reproductive health and abortion rights was emboldened by states that espoused similar rhetoric and attacked similar issues. It is the same with positive and protective legislation. We, as Rhode Island, have the opportunity to be on the forefront of empowering states to take measurable action protecting the health of their citizens. We will not be in this fight alone if you move this bill to the floor and help pass the Reproductive Health Care Act. It is ultimately in the best interest of Rhode Island to be a leader in this crucial and progressive fight for women's rights. Thank you very much for your time tonight.